All right, everybody, we are on page 51. This is lesson 5, graph ratio tables, and this is the homework check. So for independent practice, you did number 3, 4, and 5. We are going to check our answers right now. If you got anything wrong, I need you to pause the video and fix it so you have the correct work in here when it's time to go review for the quiz. So make sure that you pause and fix and raise your hand and get help from the teacher if you need help figuring out how you did it wrong if you can't figure it out. So for number 3, we had to take Ken's and Wayne's fencing and how much it cost per foot. We had to put it in a table and make ordered pairs. Ken had $5 a foot. So for 1 foot, 5, 10 for 2, 15, 20. So we had to go up 5 feet each foot of fencing. Wayne's was $6. So we had to go up $6 for each foot of fencing. 6, 12, 18, 24. Notice these are multiples of 6 because we're adding 6 each time. All right, turn it into ordered pairs. So 1 to 5, 1 comma 5, 2 to 10, and so on and so forth. Here's 1 to 6, 2 to 12, so on and so forth. All right, then we had to graph the ordered pairs. So for Ken, I labeled it with a K. This was Ken's was easy. Wayne's was a little tricky because of the scale. So we had 5, 10, 15, 20 for each foot of fencing, but Wayne's was a little off the scale. 6, 2 and 12, 3 and 18, and then 4 and 24. All right, now we had to explain it. So again, I started with the same thing we did on page 50 for the guided practice. Both ratios appear in a straight line. However, we have to show how the graph shows the difference between Wayne and Ken. Wayne's line is a little steeper than Ken's because Wayne charges a little more money per foot of fencing. I'll add this, than Ken does. So pause this here and make sure that you have these ideas, that they both appear in a straight line, but Wayne's line is steeper because Wayne charges a little more per foot than Ken. Cool. Good job doing your homework. Again, remember, if you didn't get part of this correct and you can't figure out what you did wrong, raise your hand and get some help right now. It was probably just a little easy fix that the teacher can show you. All right. So the next thing we need to do here is pull out our learning journal. You can keep your book open in case you want to refer back to it or the examples or definitions from this chapter. But let's try to do our learning journal without using the book too much. Let's see what we can do here now. In our learning journal, we need to go to the next open page. So learning objective D, E. Now we're going to learning objective F. All right, we're going to have our learning objective, our date, and 3 parts to this. And then when you're finished, you can do page 52, 9, and 10. So let's go ahead and do this first part. You're going to need to pause the video, copy this down. I can use a graph to explain ratios. I can turn a ratio into an ordered pair by... So what do you have to do in words? If you have a ratio, how do you turn it into an ordered pair? So if you had a ratio of 1 to 2, how do you turn that into an ordered pair? All right, I want you to explain that in words. For this one, to put plots for an ordered pair on a graph, I have to. So once you have an ordered pair, you're explaining how you put those plots on a graph. What do you do? What axis is this? What axis is that? What number do you put first? Do you go up this way, over that way? What do you do first? Do you start here? So I want you to pause this, copy this down, use words to explain number 1 and number 2. And then when you're done copying this down and explaining it, push play again and we'll go down to number 3. All right, here is number 3. So this is where you do an example. It says, if Samir read 4 pages in a book every 1 minute, here's how I would graph her reading for 1, 2, and 3 minutes. You might even want to make a little table. So if she had 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, what is her, how many pages is she getting? Then I want you to plot them. Okay, so this making a table of the ratios before you plot it is a good idea. All right, so when you get finished, if you have time before you have to go to the next thing, you can do page 52, number 9 and 10. And the last thing right here on the video is going to be the learning objective check-in. Okay, so our learning objective check-in is right here, and we just completed lesson 5. I can use a graph to explain ratios, and we want you to fill out where I am right after learning about this. Give yourself a number from this scale 1 to 5 for objective F. Good job with lesson 5.